Nearly 2 years after the Russian war on Ukraine, Russian President Vladimir Putin, for the first time, has hinted that Russia is ready to end the war on a peaceful note. President Putin made the comment at a meeting of the Defense Ministry, which was attended by the military top brass. Ukraine, on the other side, has said that any kind of peace talks can only materialize after the complete eviction of the Russian army from their soil. Good morning, I'm Abheudaya Shrestha, and these are the headlines of the hour. Parliamentary Committee directs the government to halt Axiata's efforts to sell its shares in Ncell until detailed investigation takes place. Premier Dahal commits to booking anyone guilty of irregularity. Disputes between the federal government and Kathmandu metropolis intensifies. Mayor Balin Shah criticizes the Prime Minister, citing lack of support in waste management. In a stunning decision, the Colorado Supreme Court removes former U.S. President Donald Trump from the state's 2024 ballot, ruling that he is not an eligible presidential candidate. And South Africa come back in the one-day series against India with a crushing 8-wicket win in the second one-day international. Newcomer Zorzi strikes a century. Raising question on the legitimacy of the formation of the probe committee during the meeting of the State Affairs and Good Governance Committee of the Parliament held earlier yesterday, members of the committee said that the responsibility must be handed over to the concerned state body. Likewise, a question had been raised regarding the involvement of the family members of Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal in the sale and purchase of the shares of Ncell. The meeting of the committee held yesterday directed to halt all the process concerning the sale and purchase of Ncell shares until the investigation report is submitted. The meeting also directed the Nepal Rashtra Bank to submit details regarding the outflow amount recorded by Ncell. Prime Minister Dahal, who had also attended the meeting, said that a committee had been formed to probe into the possible irregularities on part of Ncell. The Premier pledged to take stern actions against the concerned entities in Ncell if found guilty. Meanwhile, members of the committee raised question on the legitimacy of the formation of the probe committee and demanded to hand over the responsibility to the concerned government entity. Furthermore, question had been raised regarding the involvement of the family members of Prime Minister Dahal in the sale and purchase of Ncell shares. Answering to the questions raised by lawmakers, Premier Dahal clarified that the members of the probe committee were appropriate for the task. Prime Minister Dahal said that efforts were being made to weaken the government by connecting his family members with the case. Prime Minister Dahal said that required measures will be taken concerning government monitoring, foreign investment, and foreign exchange management, as well as tax, among other aspects, after the report is presented. He said that 80% of the shares of Ncell had been evaluated at minimum rate and that the government came to know about the company evading tax through media. During the meeting, Minister for Communication and Information Technology, Rekha Sharma, said that the concerned government entity has halted transaction concerning shares of Ncell. The Parliamentary Hearing Committee is scheduled to announce its decision today on the proposed 6 justices for the Supreme Court. The committee meeting has been scheduled for this morning to announce the decision. The Parliamentary Hearing Committee held last Monday had scheduled a meeting for today to announce the decision after concluding the hearings on the proposed 6 Supreme Court justices. The Judicial Council had proposed the names of Abdul Aziz Muzaman, Saranga Subedi, Mahesh Paurel, Tek Prasad Dhungana, Balkrishna Dhakal, and Sunil Pokhrel for consideration as justices for the Supreme Court. The hearings of the proposed justices have completed. If the proposed justices are approved by the Parliamentary Hearing Committee today, the President will then conduct the oath of office and secrecy to them. A total of 7 posts of justices are currently vacant at the Apex Court. It's been long that provincial governments have been criticizing the federal government for the latter's lack of effort for building necessary laws. Now the local levels have also started voicing their dissatisfaction against the federal government. Kathmandu metropolis leads the pact of local levels as Mayor Balin Shah has never minced words in flaying the federal government. Mayor of Kathmandu metropolis Balin Shah is particularly miffed with Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal, citing that the federal government has not supported the campaign of the metropolis in waste management. On the anniversary function of Lalitpur Metropolis last Monday, Mayor Shah reiterated his criticism in front of the Prime Minister himself. When Prime Minister Dahal started addressing the function, Mayor Shah had already walked out of the program. The Kathmandu metropolis and the federal government have not been able to reach a common understanding in terms of waste management and evicting the landless squatters from the river banks. The metropolis has also failed to live up to the pledges made with the local residents of landfill sites. Mayor Balan Shah has also been criticized ever since he walked out of the mayor's forum meeting a month and a half ago. The Kathmandu metropolis has also failed to coordinate with the other stakeholder bodies to remove the landless squatters from the riverbank areas. Likewise, the government has not been able to provide the compensation amount for 23 ropanis of land out of a total of 53 ropanis of land in the capital's Tinkuni area. The compensation dispute has been pending for the last 25 years, which has obstructed the metropolis to use the land. The state's constitution has ensured protection and facilities for citizens with disability. The implementation of federalism means that every corner of the country has access to administration. Local representatives are elected by the people to work in their interests. However, the government, local levels, and people's representatives have remained indifferent towards people with disabilities. More in this report.
A report by Kantipur television sometime back on Paras, a man with disability who was tied to a rope along with goats, helped call for support in his treatment. However, Paras wasn't the only one in Dhading district who was being kept like an animal. 17-year-old Som Bahadur of Jwalamukhi Rural Municipality and 14-year-old Roshan have been living in similar state. Som Bahadur can neither listen nor talk, while Roshan cannot talk or move. The lack of people to look after them means their family members have to tie them as they leave for daily work. Elsewhere in Ganga Jamuna Rural Municipality in Pokhara, Madan Kumar Tamang has been tied to a rope since few years due to gradual mental illness. The fate is similar for Miklajung Rural Municipality, Patstar's 19-year-old Dheeraj Rai. Rai's family say he tends to limp towards the road and therefore tie him for safety reasons. These are just representative cases for many across the country living in similar condition. Back in September 2019, the Ministry of Women, Children and Elderly Citizen had corresponded with local levels to rehabilitate people with full disability. Local levels have also been distributing special allowances for disabled people and say they are ready to support anyone in need. However, many families don't reach out for help out of fear of losing the monthly allowances and for reputation concerns. 2.2% of Nepal's population are disabled. Although the state constitution has reserved rights for them, the policies remain limited to papers.
Meanwhile, the government has remained a mere spectator to people with disabilities and those with mental illnesses being kept in adverse conditions. This has raised questions on the role and purpose of all three tiers of the government. One of the fundamental rights of the people under the state's constitution is the right to live with dignity. Every member of the public also has the right to live freely and protects one from being treated in any inhuman manner, among others. The Constitution has also ensured one's right to health services. However, many people with mental illnesses have been deprived of health services, which officials of the National Human Rights Commission say is no less than a tragedy. It may be recalled that some 4 years ago, the Ministry of Women, Children and Senior Citizens had corresponded with all local levels to collect details of people with full disability and ensure their rehabilitation. However, the local levels are yet to comply. The federal government also lacks exact data on how many people are living with disabilities. Experts call on all three tiers of the government to ensure that disabled people are provided all necessary services and highlight on the crucial role that social institutions can play. 3 people were killed and 27 others injured when a bus and a truck collided in Bara early this morning. The bus heading to Kathmandu from Kakarbita and the truck traveling to Patlaya from Hetauda collided near Amlekganj No. 3 bridge in Bara at around 2 this morning. According to Bara Police, the deceased have been identified as truck driver Purna Gurung of Tanahu and bus driver Hari Samachar Suyal Thapa of Hetona. Meanwhile, the third deceased male victim is yet to be identified. Police Chief at the District Police Office, Bara, Sudesh Prasad Kafle, informed that the 3 individuals passed away while receiving treatment at Hetona Hospital. 4 among the 27 injured are in critical condition and have been sent to Chitwan Medical College for treatment. According to the police, the remaining 20 individuals who suffered minor injuries have been provided medical treatment at various hospitals in Birganj, Hetona, and Chitwan. Up until 3 decades ago, the number of women in civil service was scarce. However, a significant number of women have since then joined the civil service, with around 9 holding the highest secretary position. Based on the Department of National Personnel Records, 85,512 are serving in public positions at present, which includes 24,143 women, around 28.23% of the total civil servants. The present time is also a first where 9 women are serving in the highest civil servant positions. The number of women participation shot up with the implementation of the women quota system since the Nepalese year 2065, around 15 years ago. Out of 77,848 civil servants in the Nepalese fiscal year 2067-68, 10,773 were women. The number has doubled since then. Apart from the increase in numbers, women are also taking up more leadership roles. Of the 753 local levels, 14 are led by women. 8 out of 77 chief district officers are also women. 58 joint secretaries and 365 undersecretaries are women at present. The presence of women is significant in lower ranks as well. 1 justice at the Supreme Court, 1 registrar, 18 judges at the high courts, and 7 at district courts are also women. Based on the Civil Service Act, in order to ensure inclusion, 45% of the total seats are allocated for people of different communities. Women have a reservation of 33%, indigenous communities 27%, Madhesi population 22%, Dalit 9%, those with disability 5%, and marginalized communities have 4% quota. It's now time for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
Here's the question. What's your take on the increasing participation of women in civil service? Your options are A, result of hard work, B, access to opportunities, and C, a message of gender equality. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B, or C, and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. In our Public Voice segment, we had asked people in several provinces what should be done to improve coordination between government entities. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
पहिला बनाएको संरचना नबदकाइकन अर्को विकास गर्न सजिलो हुन्छ भनेर त्यो चाहिँ सरकारी निकाय नै अलिकति कडा रूपमा नियम कानुन बनाउनु पर्छ।
एउटा पक्षले कुनै निर्णय लिएर छ भने अर्को पक्षले विरोध गर्नु भएन।
वर्गीकृत गरेर चाहिँ कामको सुरुवाती गरियो भने त्यस्ता कामहरुको चाहिँ सहजै तरिकाले चाहिँ विकास निर्माणहरु सम्पन्न हुन्छ।
नियमहरु बनाएर त्यो विकासहरु गर्यो भने सजिलो हुन्छ।
जनता र सरकारी कार्यहरु समन्वय गरेर कता अनुकूल पर्छ त्यही अनुसारले ज्यादा राम्रो हुन्थ्यो।
सबैलाई एक क्षेत्रमै राखेर त्यसपछि यो डीपीआर ईआई र बजेटिङ गरेर त्यो खालको कार्यान्वयन भयो भने यसको समाधान हुन्छ।
प्रदेश सरकार, स्थानीय सरकार र संघीय सरकारलाई समन्वय गरेर सबैलाई एक ठाउँमा ल्याएर नीति नबाजिने गरी बनाउन पठायो भनेपछि अथवा त्यो बजाउने किसिमको वातावरण मिलायो भने अनि प्रभावकारी हुन सक्छ।
पारदर्शिता भयो भने विकास योजनाहरू प्रभावकारी हुन्छ। स्थानीय सरकार, प्रदेश सरकार र केन्द्र सरकारले अनुमोदन गर्यो भने प्रभावकारी रूपमा हुन्छ।
जुन योजनाहरू सञ्चालन हुन्छ त्यो ठाउँको व्यक्तिहरूलाई जनताहरूलाई समेटेर ल्यायो भने अझ राम्रो हुन्छ।
तिनै तहको सरकार बीच समन्वय हुन जरुरी छ।
It's time now for the international updates. In a stunning decision, the Colorado Supreme Court removed former U.S. President Donald Trump from the state's 2024 ballot, ruling that he is not an eligible presidential candidate because of the 14th Amendment's insurrectionist ban. The ruling will be placed on hold until 4th of January next month, pending Trump's appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court, which could settle the matter for the nation. The Trump campaign, which said it would swiftly appeal, described the ruling as a completely flawed decision. Trump denies wrongdoing and has decried the 14th Amendment lawsuits as an abuse of the legal process. The state Supreme Court decision only applies to Colorado, but the historic ruling will roil the 2024 presidential campaign. Colorado election officials have said the matter needs to be settled by 5th of January, which is the statutory deadline to set the list of candidates for the GOP primary scheduled for 5th of March. Officials say the UN Security Council will not vote on a draft resolution today for a ceasefire in Gaza as expected. The U.S. says it is working with other members on the text, but it has vetoed previous resolutions. Aid agencies have voiced anger and frustration over the continued plight of civilians in Gaza ahead of the vote. Israeli President Isaac Herzog has said his country is ready for another humanitarian pause, but Hamas says it will not negotiate while Israel's military operation continues. The Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza says 100 Palestinians were killed in Israeli strikes across the territory yesterday. Hamas broke through Israel's heavily guarded perimeter on 7th of October, killing 1,200 people and taking 240 hostages, some of whom were released during a brief truce. The health ministry in Gaza, which is run by Hamas, says more than 19,600 people have been killed and 52,500 injured in the enclave since the start of the Gaza war. Russian President Vladimir Putin has said that Russia would be prepared to talk to Ukraine, the United States, and Europe about the future of Ukraine if they want to, but that Moscow would defend its national interests. President Putin, who sent troops into Ukraine in 2022, has repeatedly said he would be prepared to talk about peace through Western officials, though Western officials say he is waiting for the U.S. presidential election in November before making a genuine effort. Putin spoke at a meeting of the Defense Ministry, which was attended by the military top brass, including Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu and General Valery Gerasimov, Chief of the General Staff, as well as Federal Security Service Director Alexander Bortnikov. Russia controls about 17.5% of the territory that was internationally recognized as part of Ukraine when the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991. Russia annexed Crimea in 2014 and last year said the 4 additional regions of Ukraine that its troops partially control are part of Russia. Kiev says it will not rest until every last Russian soldier is ejected from Ukraine. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said he was confident the U.S. would not betray his country by withholding crucial wartime funding as it fights off a Russian invasion. Aid for Ukraine has been held up by Republicans in the U.S. Congress, and the White House has warned that it will run out by the end of the year if not renewed. He also said he expected the European Union to approve a €50 billion aid package soon.
Sports news.
Dhangari FC are taking on Jhapa FC today at the Nepal Super League. The match is scheduled for a 5 p.m. kickoff at the capital's Dasrath Stadium. Dhangari are the only undefeated team in the ongoing league and will secure a spot in the playoffs with a win today. That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.